Dutch Sense here. 7:31 p.m. Central Time on Sunday, September 21st, 2014. And I've got you over here on my Facebook page. This is breaking news coming out of Northern California over the last 24 hours, and specifically today. A glacier has broken off of Mount Shasta in Northern California. And if you watched my earthquake update yesterday, I've got a post I put out. I'll put a link down below to this so you guys can pay attention. Specifically going over the West Coast volcanoes, showing a recharging anywhere from Salton Sea in Southern California northward to Mount St. Helens, where we saw a series of earthquakes happen this past week. In the video, I specifically went over the area here in northern Nevada, this earthquake right here, and that is actually happening at a volcanic rift. You can go watch my video from yesterday showing that. Also went over the Mount St. Helens earthquakes up here. So Mount Shasta, located right here in Northern California, I've got it pulled up here on Google Earth. Let me just back this out a little bit. Okay, so here's Northern California. Here's the area I was talking about yesterday. Up here we've got Mount St. Helens, which is experiencing the earthquake activity, and south at Salton Sea, the earthquake activity. So Mount Shasta now had a glacier break off, and it caused a lahar mud flow. And the area in question is on the southeast flank of the volcano. And let's go look at some of these mainstream stories on this really quick. This is just from one of the local media here, KRON. You can see the mud and the water that flowed off of this. And I'll put a link down below to the search. You can come over and check this. The images are pretty impressive. Several people captured this at multiple angles on the flow. And it's pretty interesting to see this occur in conjunction with the other volcano activity that's been going on. Also, the 3.5 down here at the Arizona-New Mexico border. Again, that's confirmed volcanic. Covered that in yesterday's video. My earthquake update is very thorough this time, and I urge you to watch it in light of this new news of glaciers breaking off on Mount Shasta. Again, look where it is in relation to the other activity that's going on recently. So we've got our earthquakes happening here in North Nevada, we've got our earthquakes happening up here near Mount St. Helens, and our earthquakes happening down here at the active volcano at Salton Sea. Put the three together, and that lets you know the West Coast is showing serious movement. You can just look at the earthquake activity that's happened over the last 7 days. And let's look at, let's say, 4.0 and greater. All right, so we've got that activity up north, activity down south, and the fracking operations, which have been going off the hook lately. And we can take it down to 3.0 and greater, and that will really show you our cluster points. Again, Northern California, right there in the Mount Shasta area, also the area near San Francisco, which had the large earthquake last month. And that caused new water to flow up out of the ground, which is still happening in Napa Valley, by the way. And I'll put links down below to all the stories. Guys, have an earthquake plan ready and be prepared just in case. You may never have to use it, but the activity that's starting to show, specifically the volcanoes starting to show activity, not talking eruption, we're talking earthquake. A lot of movement happening, displacing the magma chambers underneath. Go watch my earthquake update video from yesterday. Fully explain the whole thing. Much love. Be safe. Hey everybody, Dutch Sense here. 8:04 p.m. Central Time on Thursday, September 25th, 2014. And we're looking at Earthquake 3D here, which is a USGS feed of the most recent earthquakes. Right now, we're looking at the last 24 hours, 2.5 and greater in the US, 4.0 and greater internationally. And it's been really active. We've seen two 6.0 earthquakes, actually a 6.2 up here in Alaska earlier today, and at the start of the day, a 6.0 east of Papua New Guinea. Now you can see the stack of earthquakes here just popped off in the last hour and a half, 2 hours across California. This is in eastern central California, and I'm going to go ahead and look these up. I already did, but I want to show you guys what's at the earthquake epicenter. So here are our coordinates. We're just going to go ahead and pull these from the USGS, and you can see on the map already, if you're familiar with California, you're already knowing what I'm getting ready to show you here. But for those of you who don't know, let's just go ahead and zoom in. Okay, here's our swarm location, and it's a previous earthquake spot from earlier in July that the mainstream media made note of. Why did they make note of it? It falls at the foot of Mono Lake supervolcano and Mammoth Mountain with the Inyo craters right here. So we have the Inyo craters, we have Mammoth Mountain. These are well-known volcanic locations, and if there's any question, you can come in here at an angle and get a good view on all the different little craters that are associated with this volcanic field. So we've got one here, 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 going all the way down, and then it comes up to the larger volcanoes. Really cool to come in here and take a look at all the old dormant volcanoes that exist in California. But this is a supervolcano, confirmed, and now we're starting to see a swarm happen here. That's no surprise. Look at the earthquake that happened up in central Alaska. Happened inland. Normally don't see that kind of activity further inland, normally along the Aleutian Island chain. So to see it happen here, this is right along the edge of the craton. The craton extends all the way up here to Alaska, so pressure was placed at the top edge of the mountainous chain that extends all the way down here through the Midwest, curls back up, and goes back up the East Coast. So when we see displacement up here, it puts pressure down here. My next best guess is that we're going to start to see larger earthquake activity further to the east, and also at Yellowstone. So we've already confirmed this swarm here is happening at the Mono Lake supervolcano. This follows the earthquake activity yesterday at Yellowstone. 3.2 right here at Yellowstone. Hadn't seen any activity at Yellowstone for a while. Again, this is along the edge of the craton, so it's going to be displaced as the pressure is placed from the northwest. We also see, over the last week, 7 days, look at Oklahoma. 4.0 earthquakes in Oklahoma, and a series of smaller earthquakes on the East Coast, Tennessee and South Carolina, right at the border of Georgia and South Carolina. Again, right along the edge of the plate. The whole thing's being displaced. When you see the activity over the last 7 days, the higher these are off the planet, the deeper they are into the Earth. That's an Earthquake 3D feature. So we've got some seriously deep earthquakes happening at 350 to 400 miles deep inside the asthenosphere. And the asthenosphere is the area of semi-melt magma that the plates rest on top of. And when that's perturbed, moved, you start to see the shallower activity. And then that culminates then with large earthquakes after these clusters of 4 and 5.0 earthquakes. Just look at the 5.0s and greater over the last 7 days. And I'm going to put a link to my last earthquake update so you guys can pay attention to the activity that was happening this past week, where I fully covered the volcanoes on the West Coast, Nevada, Arizona, going up to Mount St. Helens, all moved this past week. Covered that in my video. You guys can watch that. And of course, Bardarbunga up here in Iceland, now spilling down the mid-Atlantic ridge. And you guys can see multiple 4 and 5.0 earthquakes have kicked off at the top, middle, and bottom, or the north, center, and south of the mid-Atlantic ridge. Europe as well, spilling right across over to Europe. You can follow the trail of earthquakes across the Mideast, going right up into the Mediterranean, where Greece has had those series of earthquakes. That means there's pressure on Europe as well. Look, no earthquakes in between the English Channel and Italy in the last several days. Big. And if you want to go back weeks or months, there hasn't been any movement really at all in that region. We need to watch that region for greater movement, greater than 4.0, let's say, in the next several days. Anywhere where it's silent, we need to watch. Again, silent areas. Areas where we normally see a large amount of movement. Central Mexico, down near here. Look at all the activity surrounding it on each side. Same with British Columbia. Pressure being placed on each side. It's areas we need to watch, okay? Much love, guys. Be safe. Always have an earthquake plan ready and be prepared, just in case. You may never have to use it. Let's hope you never have to. Okay? Cheers.